February 9, 1861. Confederate leadership. In Montgomery, Alabama, the Provisional Congress of the Confederate States of America unanimously elected Jefferson Davis as provisional president. Davis, a West Point graduate and former U.S. Senator from Mississippi, was considered a strong choice due to his political and military experience. Although he had initially opposed immediate secession, he became a leading advocate once Mississippi left the Union. His election marked a critical moment in the Confederacy's formation. On February 18, 1861, Davis was officially inaugurated in Montgomery, the first capital of the Confederate States. By February 1861, 7 Southern states had seceded from the Union: South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. Delegates from these states convened in Montgomery to draft a provisional constitution, which they adopted on February 8, 1861. This constitution closely mirrored the U.S. Constitution, but explicitly protected slavery and emphasized states' rights. The Provisional Congress, comprised of delegates from the seceded states, selected Davis for his experience and reputation as a moderate on secession. Initially, Davis expressed reluctance to accept the presidency, preferring a military command. However, he recognized the need for unity and stability in the newly formed Confederacy. His previous role as U.S. Secretary of War under President Franklin Pierce had given him crucial administrative and military insight. Upon accepting, he declared that the Confederacy sought only to defend its rights rather than aggressively expand. Davis was inaugurated in front of the Alabama State Capitol on February 18, 1861. In his address, he emphasized that the Confederacy did not desire war, but would defend itself if necessary. He asserted that the Southern states had the right to secede based on their interpretation of the U.S. Constitution. Following his inauguration, he assembled his cabinet, appointing Robert Toombs as Secretary of State, Christopher Memminger as Secretary of the Treasury, and Judah P. Benjamin as Attorney General. These appointments reflected an attempt to balance regional interests within the Confederacy. Davis faced immediate challenges in organizing a government from scratch. He worked to secure diplomatic recognition from European powers, though Britain and France ultimately remained neutral. He also authorized the formation of the Confederate Army and appointed General P.G.T. Beauregard to command troops in Charleston, South Carolina. Tensions escalated as federal forces refused to surrender Fort Sumter, leading to the Confederate attack on April 12, 1861, marking the start of the Civil War. The election of Davis as provisional president was a defining moment in American history. It marked the formalization of the Confederacy and set the stage for the Civil War. Under Davis's leadership, the Confederacy adopted a permanent constitution on March 11, 1861, and held elections later that year, where Davis was formally elected president for a 6-year term. His presidency was defined by military struggles, economic hardships, and internal political disputes. Despite his efforts, Davis ultimately failed to secure Southern independence. After 4 years of war, the Confederacy collapsed, and Davis was captured by Union forces in May 1865. His election on February 9, 1861, remains a pivotal event, marking the beginning of the Confederacy's short-lived existence and the intensification of the nation's deepest crisis. For enthusiasts of historical ephemera, visit history-collectors.com to find collectibles that might complement your collection. You can own a piece of history.